making sure.
Well, it's 7 o'clock, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to our December meeting. Do we have a motion to come out of closed session and certification of that session?
Whereas the Franklin City School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Franklin City School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Thank you, Dr. Hall Leonard. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Do we have any motions from closed session? I believe we had some personnel actions.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the personnel agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the personnel agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
My name is Riva. I am in the 5th grade. My homeroom teacher is Miss Geary. And when I grow up, I want to be a doctor. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Moore.
Present. Rebecca Jester. Present. Dr. Adrian Hall-Leonard.
Present.
Marshall Wood. Present. Jessica Grant. Present. Ron Houston. Robert Holt.
Present. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Citizens' time. Ms. Moore, do we have anyone?
No, we do not.
We do not. Let's move to our consent agenda, and we have some minutes to review. These are for our meeting on Thursday, November the 9th. Do we have a motion to approve the November 9th, 2017 minutes as presented?
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the school board meeting minutes from the November 9th, 2017 meeting as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Chester. Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
I
Opposed, no.
abstain.
You abstain. Dr. Hall Leonard abstains. Thank you. Report of the superintendent, Ms. Sterling.
Okay.
Oh, a second. Excuse me. Okay. We also have minutes for December the 7th. So we will take a moment to review those.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion at this time to approve the school board called meeting minutes for the work session held on December 7th, 2017.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Now, superintendent's report. Ms. Sterling.
Thank you, Chairman Holt, school board members. We're going to start with Ms. Wade, who will start with our good news.
Good evening, Chairman Holt, Vice Chair, Dr. Hall Leonard, school board members, Ms. Sterling, and Franklin community. It is my pleasure tonight to announce the winners of our Best Teacher Attendance Award and our Best Student Attendance Award for the month of December 2017. For Best Teacher Attendance this month, J.P. King, 94.3%. And for Best Student Attendance Award, this month it was 97.6%, J.P. King Middle School. I'll continue on with the awards, and at this time announce the Bronco Pride Clean School Award. You'll remember that this award is given every month to the school who rates the highest on a cleanliness inspection sheet. And we strive for 90%. This month, the score was 89-point-something%, so we were so close, and we were to be commended. This month it goes to S.P. Morton Elementary School. Come forward. Those custodians are Miss Cassandra Clark, head custodian, Mr. Jimmy Reed, Mr. Octavius Kindred, Miss Lakeisha Langley,
Good job.
And Miss Beverly Lawrence. And Miss, I keep calling you Beverly, honey, Brenda Lawrence, I'm sorry. You all do an excellent job. Your school shines and you make it shine. So we appreciate all that you do. Congratulations.
Wow. All right. Oh, Ms. Wade, if you don't mind, we're going to move right on into human resource update.
Okay, first I believe you have, the survey. The survey for new teachers consists of a survey that we have put together. It is made up of 10 questions. It was distributed last Thursday, actually last Friday, following our work session, and it's due to be completed by tomorrow. We have about 75% completion right now, and we're hoping to get the rest in. So I'll look forward to sharing the results of that survey to you in January. And that went out to all first, second, and third year teachers. Next, the 2017-2018 Recruitment and Retention Plan. You were presented this last week in our work session. This plan is a living document, and it continues to be updated as we add new dates for job fairs, et cetera. And so this was developed, I think, in 2014. And every year, we review that and update it and revise it as needed to add incentives and new strategies. We wanted you to have this, and we will be updating this throughout the year, and again, sharing it with you at the end. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll have Operation Update. Mr. Custer, can you please come up and share the updates for the Charles Street Gym, Franklin City Public School water testing, and utility update will be done with Ms. Kindred. Thank you, Mr. Custer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, the Charles Street Gym was recently completed. We had a few little issues with it after the rain because the metal flashing wasn't up. It was being made. It's been installed. Monday it was installed. So I think we have some pictures of what was done. We have the new decking. The first picture, that right there is the insulation that went over top the decking. And then the next picture down, and that is the actual decking. And that's your decking. And then that first picture went over top of this. This was what we needed to replace that we hadn't planned on replacing. Then the next picture, I think, is the membrane going down. Well, that's part of the decking. And see, that's how they're putting the decking over top. I mean, the insulation over the decking. And then the next picture should be the membrane. That's the membrane that went over top of it. I think we have one more yet. There it is. That's the final one. And the flashing goes on top of where you see the membrane up there. That's why the water got behind it. Also, on our update, I guess the next thing is our update on our drinking water. The quality of standards for drinking water are established by the State Environmental Protection Agency, and EPA, and the Virginia Department of Health. And we get our water supplied from the city of Franklin, which is required to test every 3 years. And it meets and exceeds all federal and state standards for water testing. So as of right now, this General Assembly have passed another things, a bunch of recommendations. And so what we did was we went through and tested and counted all our water fountains, our sinks, and as you see in our slide here, she hasn't gotten to it yet, it costs $60 a piece for these, and we have a total of 245 places that we could take samples. After discussing this with the superintendent, we decided we're going to be proactive. Since we're not required to do this yet, we're not mandated, and we're in complete compliance with everything that the state and the federal and the local governments require, we're going to go ahead and test all our, in January, we're planning to test all the water fountains in the sinks in all the kitchens, anywhere where they're ready and accessible to drink, drinking water. The rest of them are like sinks in the classroom. Yeah, you can put a cup underneath there, but we're going to start out with this, and then if we get mandated, we will follow all the what we have to do. But we're going to be proactive and go ahead and test to make sure that we don't have any lead problems in our building, for sure. I know the water coming in is good, and we should be good with that. And you see what the total cost would be if we had to test everything. Some of the paperwork that I saw, they recommended you test everything, anywhere you can get a cup odor. So, but it's not been mandated. And I read the 104-page, the 3 T's of drinking water for the schools, and that's what we got out of it. So that's all I have on that. And do we have any questions?
What do you think the life expectancy of our roof is?
We have a 20-year warranty on this
Okay.
once we're done. Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, appreciate that. We're going to move to our financial report with Ms. Kindred.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. In your board packet, you have the results of the budget survey that was open to the public on November the 28th, and it closed on December the 8th. We had 55 respondents. I believe that we got some very meaningful feedback. In the report, what I did for you was to put in the comments, the overall themes that came from the survey. And also I included for you charts to depict how each individual person answered the questions that we supplied to them. There were 10 questions that were presented. And again, you'll see how each of the respondents answered because it's charted out for you. And again, the overall themes are listed beneath where it says other. Did you all have any questions about the results of the survey? And I just want to let the public know that we will take all of your comments into consideration as we move forward with the new fiscal year's budget. Our first draft will be presented to the public on January the 18th at our school board meeting.
I know we ended the year with a $70,000 surplus.
Yes.
And we started out $125,000 in the hole.
Yes, sir.
And everyone should be commended for their excellent work last year. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
And I know Kelvin was involved in that too. Thank
Yes,
you,
he
Kelvin.
was.
I'd just like to say thank you to our superintendent and your staff, Director of Finance, Ms. Kindred, in actually putting this together,
Yes, ma'am.
the
Thank
budget
you.
survey,
Thank you.
and providing it to the community as well as the employees. I thought that was excellent.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent
And-
work.
I'm sorry. And if you look at the last, I believe it's the last page, it shows the breakdown of the individuals that actually participated in the survey. We had 17 parents, we had 9 community members, we had 28 staff members, and 1 administrator. If there are no other questions relating to the budget survey, we'll move on to the monthly budget comparison report for the month of November. If you have any questions for me there, I'll be happy to answer any of those. But we've collected 31.5% of our revenues, and we have used 29.20% of our total budget. And we are in line as far as collecting our revenues for this year as we were last year. And for our expenditures, we are slightly under where we were last year at this time. Are there any questions?
Once again, I have to say thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for the comparison.
And thank you for relaying that as to where we were last year.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. If there are no questions, I'll move on to our appropriation request. Our first appropriation request is from International Paper, and they are donating to us $2,000 for the robotics program so that they can purchase materials and supplies for 3D printing. So we request approval of this appropriation of $2,000.
Do we have a motion to approve the $2,000 appropriation from International Paper?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the authorization to request appropriation for $2,000 from International Paper for the robotics program.
Thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Yes. And the next appropriation request that we have is in the amount of $4,000, and it's also from International Paper, and it's to assist with the purchase of materials and supplies for the Food Cycle and Hunger Awareness Program. And I believe it is at S.P. Morton Elementary School.
Do we have a motion to approve that $4,000?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the appropriation in the amount of $4,000 from International Paper to purchase materials and supplies to assist with the Food Cycle and Hunger Awareness programs.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Ms. Kindred,
Yes.
do we need to go back and do the 3D printing?
That was the first one, the 4,000 for robotics, the 3D printing. 2,000, I'm sorry.
For the
2,000.
robotics?
Yes, ma'am, the 2,000.
Thank you.
Okay. And the last appropriation is for $500, and it's to assist, and that's also from International Paper, to assist them with their reading program.
Do we have a motion to approve $500 appropriation from International Paper for our reading program at S.P. Morton?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the authorization to request appropriation from International Paper in the amount of $500 to assist S.P. Morton Elementary School with the reading program.
Thank you. Is there a second? Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Did we do the greenhouse?
Did you want to go back with the utility update with Dan?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Mr. Custer? Oh, he left, but
He
I guess
left.
you could take it.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ensure, Mr. Chairman, should we go back and look at all of the appropriations? I believe we just approved 3. Are there 3 or 4?
No, ma'am, only 3. There were 3.
There are only 3?
Yes, ma'am.
So robotics program, $2,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 3D printing, that was the robotics program.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's in our board books twice. Okay, that's what looks
Oh,
confusing.
okay.
Thank you.
That's what I
Yes,
asked as
thank
well.
you.
It did look
You
confusing.
may proceed.
Thank you.
There's a lot of supporting stuff in there.
Recently, me and Mrs. Sterling, the division superintendent, met with Mr. Randy Martin, the city manager, on the electric bill, with the issue that we were having as far as the bills being higher than normal. We are going to receive a refund in the amount of $127,992.27, at which the board will have to decide how you would like to appropriate those funds. We will receive those in the form of a check. And that's for the period, I believe it was going back to September of 2016 through, I believe it's August of this year.
That's good news.
Yes, ma'am, it is very good news.
I
We-
assume that someone will bring a recommendation to the board on how best to use that.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. And the most recent bill that we did receive was for $45,000 for J.P. King. However, I did send the bill to Mr. Martin, and he indeed worked with me to get that adjustment. So the bill was only $3,500 and some odd dollars. So we did work to get that completed. So that is fixed, and from now on, we should see where it is in line with the other utility bills as being around $3,000 or so, depending upon usage with the heat. But we did receive the bill for 45. We did not pay the 45,000
What
because
month was that for, may I
that was
ask?
for last month for November.
So have we not fixed?
Yes, ma'am. They have fixed it. So going forward, I will monitor it, and also Mr. Bly with the city is going to monitor it. But just to make you aware that that bill was $45,000, but we got it straightened out, and it's only $3,500 that's paid.
Placed over
The break.
Thanksgiving.
correct?
Yes, thanks to
So that
right.
would have been right at the end of that billing cycle.
Right.
Correct.
But we did get it corrected. Mr. Martin, as soon as I sent it to him, he worked on it. He got back to me to tell me what the new charge would be, and it was $3,500 and some odd dollars. Yes, ma'am. And that is all for me.
Oh, just a moment. I just want to take this time out also. I had placed the council, I had placed the article about the audit with the city as well as with the school division. And I just want to publicly commend Ms. Kindred, our Director of Finance, because she was pulled in a lot of different directions, but she kept the school division moving forward while she was also conducting an audit. I mean, the numerous papers, requests, everything that was asked of her, she got everything turned in on time. We were also complimented by the city council because of the timeliness of our documents. So again, I would just want to thank you for all that you do and just the level of professionalism and management that you bring to your position is greatly appreciated. And just reading the article that just says that we ended, with the surplus after beginning with the deficit speaks volumes to what you bring to Franklin City Public Schools.
Well, I
you.
thank you, and I appreciate you, and I thank both you and the board for the opportunity to serve you in this role. I do. I really appreciate it.
I'll also add at one point last year, we were working on, or Pam was working on 4 budgets at one time. She was working on 2 previous. The current budget, and we were getting ready for the next year, so phenomenal.
Thank you, Mr.
Pam.
Holt.
Thank you. Okay, before we move on, if you turn in your board books, it was requested that there was a grant, but that is in your board packet, and I will get back to that grant for the laptop computers. But I do apologize to our student board member who I overlooked, Mr. Pope, and he's going to present us with his report at this time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight I will be starting with our academics at Franklin High School. We held 2 Saturday SOL academies in December to prepare students for their retakes. We had a lot of students pass the SOL test this month. Those students earned credits that will count toward their graduation. We would like to thank the school board for our money for our SOL academies. We had 4 days of targeted instruction. For those of you who do not know what targeted instruction is, it is a tutoring session during the school day. We had tutoring after school Monday through Thursday in SOL Academy to prepare students for their retakes, and those are the reasons why students have been so successful with their retakes. We had our student advisory council, and we met with Ms. Sterling yesterday, and we had a great meeting. Ms. Sterling, are there any questions that you want to bring up about that?
I just can't say enough about the leadership on this advisory council. They are an amazing group of young men and women, and I think we discussed bullying
Yes, ma'am.
yesterday, and maybe you want to share with the board and the audience some of the things that the student council members discussed or suggestions.
Primarily, you brought to our attention the Stop It Out.
Correct.
and we were talking about how we're going to incorporate that into our school systems with our parents and students. And then we also talked about other things like face-to-face meetings, peer-to-peer, which is like a club that we would devise for those who are facing bullies, but they don't have to do that by themselves because they have a committee with them. So we came up with a lot of great ideas that we're looking to put in effect next month in February.
In February.
So our Student Advisory Council will continue working on those things to bring that to our schools.
And they're currently working to revise policy and make suggestions for revisions. And you want to share a little bit with that, about that?
Mainly yesterday, we looked at the tardy rule about the 3 days equal one ISS, right?
Correct.
We were looking at ways how the students can still meet their schoolroom requirements by getting their lesson for the day, while also knowing that they were wrong for missing so many days and being late. So we're trying to come to an overall good, what's the word I'm looking, a good agreement about what we can settle for.
So they're developing policy, they're creating programs, they are just doing they're working so hard and doing a wonderful job. And I want to thank you for your service also, for supporting and help leading them
You're welcome.
when we all meet. So that's what we do.
To continue what's been going on at Franklin High, we had a science fair, which was yesterday night in the cafeteria. All students in first semester science classes did a project which helped supporting teaching the SOL and scientific investigation. Last Thursday, we had our school board session gallery walk that featured art, culinary, JRTC, AVID, and 2021 survivors. 2021 survivors are a group of 9th graders who were socially promoted from J.P. King. Ms. Sterling, I love what you did with that group personally.
And this is not staged. Thank you. Thank you.
All juniors and some seniors took the ISVAD, which is the military entrance test, on December 5th. Also, a lot of students at Franklin High School participated in Terrific Tuesday at J.P. King. For our sports, since the last school board meeting, we had a game last night, so the varsity boys basketball team is now 1-3, and we will play tomorrow against Greensville. Our JV boys are now 2-1, and our girls are also 1-3.
Awesome.
The wrestling team had their first tournament in Northampton and finished in 4th place. Several of our players earned medals. Our theater team finished 3rd in the region and will perform their last play tomorrow at 2 o'clock to all 4 o'clock English classes. We would like to thank you for letting our winter break start early, and we truly appreciate it. At J.P. King, they have been very busy lately. On November 29th, J.P. King had their 21st century pre-modern revisit, and everything went well. On December 12th, their interims went home with their students. On December 14th, Parents as Partners, holiday concert, and reading and math take-home activities for the winter break will be given to all that attend. They will also be having a bike giveaway for SOLs. For the sports, the middle school boys basketball is going strong with Southampton this week on the roster. It has been a short month, however. Students and teachers look forward to their relaxing winter break as well. At SP Morton, every Wednesday they have an Eat and Read in which students bring a book to lunch to read. On December 7th, 2017, they had a Dairy Queen night. December 12th, they had a PTA winter program, and December 13th through 14th, K through 2nd grade trip to Children's Museum in Portsmouth, Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Phelps told me before our meeting that our student liaison had been accepted to William & Mary and VCU, and he's waiting on University of Virginia. So congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
He also wants to be a lawyer, he told me. So.
One last thing. I would like to thank my mother for pushing her way here. She had to support my sister, but she's here with me tonight. Mom, you're who I do it for.
Can I just say, he is exceptional, and he can only be exceptional with the right parenting behind him, so thank you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we're going to let this exceptional student be excused. Just finishing up benchmarks and studying. So, quite a young man, quite a young man. At this time, we'd like to move on to Mr. Edwards. He's going to do the update on the 21st Century Community Learning Centers program at SP Morton Elementary and J.P. King Jr. Middle School.
Good evening, Chairman Hope, Vice Chairman Dr. Hall Leonard, to the Franklin City Public School Boards, Superintendent Sterling. I'd like to give you an update on the 21st Century Community Learning Centers. As you know, you heard our student liaison state that the pre-monitoring visit went very well. It went very well at J.P. King, and it went very well at SP Morton Elementary School. And we are very fortunate to have the 21st Century Learning Centers. And our first feature will feature the site coordinators. Our site coordinators are Mrs. Marilyn Freeman at J.P. King and Ms. DeMonier Brickhouse at SP Morton. And they're just two that make up the dynamic team that work with our dynamic students. And the program runs from Monday through Thursday, daily, and 5:30 and 6 p.m. 5:30, yes, at 5:30 at J.P. King. And the students are doing well. So we took some daily, weekly attendance, and right now, the highest weekly attendance at SP Morton has been 54 students. And as you see, recruiting at least 3 new tutors, and at SP Morton will help us serve even more students. Okay. Also, and here's the schedule that the students follow: Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We wanted the board to make sure they see that, and this is Wednesday's schedule also. So this is the schedule at SP Morton on Monday through Wednesday, and also on Thursday. Our highest average weekly attendance at J.P. King has been 40 students, but we heard an update that more students are being recruited. Oh, there it is right there, an even more update. 65 students now are attending at J.P. King. And here is the schedule that J.P. King runs on, similar schedule, Monday through Wednesday, and then the Thursday schedule. Highlighting both centers, we look at our academic programs. The teachers are working with enthusiasms. Programs well organized, and these are the things that the site monitor stated about both programs at SP Morton and J.P. King, and highlighted the timely execution of well-documented operational tasks of the bus and fire drills. Students knew exactly what to do. Wanted to highlight to the board areas of focus for the monitoring visit of both centers, how they meet with the faculty to explain the teacher recommendation process, offering academic programs, closely aligned enrichment activities, and increase the amount of advertising of the community learning centers on our social media. And as we continue to progress on our 21st Century Learning Centers, we will continue to update the Franklin City Public School Board. Just like we got that update about 65 students now. So that slide is already over. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. I appreciate
Thank you,
your time.
Superintendent Sterling.
Appreciate it. The next section of your board book, you'll have the general board request for technology. That is the grant. That is the grants from the superintendent's memo regarding the technology that we are placing an order for J.P. King Middle School, J.P. King Jr. Middle School. And this is for your review, but this is just a follow-up from the request from the board.
I'd like to say thank you for providing the
Yes.
information. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, we're going to go back to Mr. Edwards for a curriculum and instruction update.
Thank you, Superintendent Sterling. As we move forward, we are in full swing of SOL season at Franklin High School and also in benchmarking at Franklin High School. And so we'd like to give the board an update of how we're doing. We recently had our comprehensive data review at Franklin High School, and at this time, I'd like to bring forth Mr. Phelps, and he will lead us through the charge at Bronco Land.
Good evening, Board, Ms. Sterling, Mr. Taylor. I should bring Ms. Kindred up here with me. She's been my partner to get everything done this week as far as SOL testing and benchmark at the high school, and it has been a challenge because we've had some issues with Power School Analytics going up and down, and anyway, we're going to finish up tomorrow. We had planned to finish up with benchmarks on Wednesday, but it's going to be tomorrow. Actually, my data is the same as you saw last week, so I won't spend a whole lot of time going through that. We're in the middle right now of benchmark number 3, so I don't have a PowerPoint for benchmark 3 yet. We'll have that for you in January. Like I said, we're still finishing up tomorrow. I will say, as far as SOL testing, when you put together our summer retakers and our fall retakers, so far we have 58 passing scores from the summer and the fall put together. So we have a good start to our SOL season, which will really be ramped up in January with our first semester students that are in SOL classes now. But we already have 58 scores in the bank, and they all count for us because they were retakers, so they don't count against us if they fail. So right now we're 58 out of 58, so we're proud of that. And just to give you a comparison, we're in better shape this year than we were last time at this year.
Great.
So I don't know if I said that right or not. We're in better shape now than we were a year ago at this time. I'll say it like that. It's been a long week. We're all tired. We're ready for winter break. Other than that, our data is the same, and we'll have an update for you in January because we're right in the middle now of benchmark number 3. And I will, while she's here, like to just give a shout out to Ms. Kindred, because we have had some creative schedules this week to get all the makeups done and the combining groups and figuring out what we're going to do because the test won't submit because the internet's down, and on the phone with Power School Analytics. Technology is great when it works. But any questions for me?
I appreciate you pointing to Ms. Kindred, because when you first started, I'm thinking, why is the Director of Finance assisting him with this?
Yeah, this is my Miss Kindred. Yeah,
Because I had my head down.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, Pam is really working here.
Yeah, Pam does everything, but instead of Chiquita.
You're talking about Miss Chiquita. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation, Mr. Phelps. Excellent.
We'd like to update our board on our SOAR students, which are students opting to achieve results. And at this time, I'd like to bring Mr. Parker from J.P. King Jr. Middle School to give you an update on the SOAR students, because we've already heard the success of the SOAR of the students Survivors 2021 at the high school. Mr. Parker.
Good evening to the board. Our Chairman Holt, Vice Chair Dr. Hall Leonard, School Board, our Superintendent Ms. Sterling, Mr. Taylor Williams, and Dr. Geiger. First of all, I would like to say again from JPK, thank you for the early Christmas break. It's truly appreciated all the way across the board, from our students to our cafeteria workers, to our custodians, our teachers, and everybody. We would like to say thank you. And also we'd like to thank our superintendent, Ms. Sterling, for putting that forth, pushing that agenda. So we truly appreciate that. So thank you for working together as a team to make that possible. We have 24 students in our, we don't call it SOAR, we just call it our students that have been promoted to their right grade. 20 out of 24 of those students are doing very well. Two of the students that are not doing so well, we have, first of all, let me say, we have put all these students in 21st century. So when you hear those numbers go up, it's because of, I think, all 24 are included, and plus we added all of our Tier 3 students into the 21st century program. So our goal is to try to get to, we're at 2 buses as we speak. Our goal, obviously, is to try to fill 3 buses up, and we're getting close to that as we speak. Matter of fact, we just left 21st Century and Parents as Partners, and now we're here, so after this, we'll get a little sleep tonight. Back to our students that we truly believe in. Like I stated, 20 out of 24 are doing well, 22 of them. The other two, one of the students, we just received their interims. And matter of fact, we're going over that data as we speak. We're sitting down calculating GPAs just of the core classes, and they are doing well. We have some concerns. I'm going to be very honest. We do have some concerns. So the first step we're going to take, Ms. Francis and I, we're going to sit down with our teachers to make sure we're doing everything we can possibly do to make sure our babies are successful. After meeting with our teachers, we're going to sit down with our babies and making sure our babies are doing everything they can do to make sure they're successful. And after we sit down with our babies, we're going to sit down with some parents to make sure they're doing everything they can do to make sure our babies are successful, because it takes a village. It takes a village, so we're looking forward to great things from our students. They are very excited about being in their right grade, and we always look at the positive end. Everything, there's nothing negative about putting our kids in their right grade. Now we have to push them and make sure that they're graduating on time, and also making sure they're successful in life and most definitely in the real world. So again, thank you. Obviously, it's the last time we will probably talk with you. Wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And again, keep believing in our babies, keep supporting our babies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Thank you. Okay.
I have a question, and I hope it comes out the way I intended to ask it, but my sense is that the students in this program are doing better in this program than they would have done had they not moved into this program. Is that a true statement, do you think?
I would say, regardless of which program they're in, with the team that we have over at JPK, we're going to ensure that they do well.
Right.
Of course, moving them into their right grade. The only thing that we're doing, Chairman Holt, we're just doing what we're supposed to do. We're not doing anything special. What we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do, exactly why we sign our names on the dotted line on that contract, to push our kids and believe in our kids and motivate our babies. So whatever situation we put them in, it's our job to make sure it gets done. So yes, if they were still in the 6th grade, still in the 7th grade, still in the 8th grade, they would be doing well. But now that they're in their correct grades, it's our job to make sure that they're successful, and that's what we're here to do.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? I'm sorry. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Holt, Chairman Holt, with that question, I know you were trying to word that, trying to think about choosing your words. I would have to agree with you, because I would say that it increases the students' self-confidence.
Right.
Their confidence. I'm sure the teachers and staff are seeing that it has increased their confidence to let them know that they can do. And Mr. Parker, we appreciate it. When you approach the podium, we all kind of look at you. He's like, I'm coming to the football field. I mean, he's a coach. And so, but we do appreciate all of the hard work. And we do know with the SOAR program, with our superintendent, we appreciate it. And all of the, even to the high school principal, because it's affected your school as well. But it has really increased the confidence of our students. You all are continuing to teach them to own the data, to understand the data. And so we do appreciate that as a board. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Holt.
Right, thank you.
I'd like to update the board on our walkthroughs. The most recent walkthrough occurred at SP Morton Elementary School today, and where we had the opportunity to go to SP Morton and we observed reading classes and saw some dynamic things going on in the classrooms. Lessons were aligned to the standard. Questions have been ramped up to be more rigorous. Timely instruction, and also have to absolutely positively say engaged instruction, as evidenced by the students responding with correct answers, also responding with motivation in their tone when they spoke to their teachers. So great lessons at SP Morton, today. We thank you, Dr. Davis, for sharing your classes with us. Also had the opportunity to walk through classrooms at J.P. King, where we witnessed dynamic lessons, and I don't use that word loosely because, but when you have the opportunity to see lessons that are engaging our students, you have to give accolades where accolades are due. And I must say at J.P. King, we saw that going on as well. At Franklin High School, we had the opportunity to be in a math class. And at the math class, we say the math classes are coming of age. And when I say that, we're looking at using manipulatives more in our math classes. But the classes that we witnessed, we did see some dynamic things going on as well. Mr. Phelps, thank you for letting us be a part of the math class. So we are thoroughly immersed in the walkthrough process here in our division. And we also are visiting professional learning communities weekly in our division as we rotate a schedule on a weekly basis. Math at the high school, reading at the elementary and middle school, and our presence is seen in the professional learning communities as well.
I want to add to that with Mr. Phelps and our student advisory council yesterday came and said, Ms. Sterling, did you order those calculators yet? Yes. So the math is something that our students are not fearful of. They embrace, and they're pushing us to make sure that we have the tools to make sure that they're successful. Yes. So I just wanted you to know that your students are coming in, asking me how am I spending the money, and making certain that I'm spending it where it's needed. And I really appreciated that. And I was able to tell them, yes, I signed the purchase order. And then they all relaxed. They said, yes, thank you.
They
so,
did.
It's good.
I'd also like to update our board. We're looking at, once again, partnering with the University of Richmond in the summer reading program to assist in the summer slide that our students may experience during that 8 weeks they are out for the summer. And at this time, Superintendent Sterling and to the Franklin City Public School Board, that concludes this portion of the curriculum instruction report.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edwards.
Thank you, Superintendent Sterling.
All that you do. I know it's a lot. I appreciate it. For members in our community, we have our special education report. Ms. Edmonds is unable, our interim coordinator of special education is unable to be with us this evening. However, in the spirit of transparency, she's provided us a report that will be uploaded to our website and communicated with our parents throughout the division. The 2017-18 organizational management for special education really outlines how our teachers, how the administrators, and how the special education coordinator works with her team. So this is for your review, as well as our community. Also, it's very important as you turn the page for our parents to understand how the referral process works for special education. Again, in the spirit of transparency, every single parent should be knowledgeable if they detect anything that they would like to have tested with their child as far as their education is concerned, behavior. These are the steps these are the steps that we follow at Franklin City Public Schools, and it gives the days that our parents should be knowledgeable of that we should be responding to their request. When we conduct our child study meeting and evaluation, how we determine eligibility, and the development, if necessary, of an IEP. We will continue to update the board as well as our community with our special education process. We will also upload to our website the referral process, and it talks about the identification of the referral, again, the child study team, but it provides our parents with a lot more in-depth information. This currently is not on our website. We usually just meet with our parents one-on-one and give them this information, but we felt the need to educate our community, not just parents that are students with special needs, but all parents should have this knowledge to support any child that they see needs that support in their immediate families or just someone that they are concerned about. So that is our special education report. Are there any questions?
No questions, Superintendent Sterling. Just want to commend your efforts in working with the interim special education coordinator. The presentation during the work session was an excellent presentation. I think it's a wonderful idea as a board member to upload the information to the website for transparency and so that parents are able to see it, as well as other community members, because anybody could make a referral. So this is
Yes.
an excellent idea.
You're right. Anyone can make a referral. Okay, you also have the principal's monthly report. Again, you can read that at your leisure. We have our professional development that's documented from November 10th to December 14th. Our administrators and teachers participated in technology workshops, leadership workshops, curriculum and instruction, focusing on literacy workshops. So you also have that information. Again, you have the funding source and the participants that attended. Okay, moving along, we've also submitted the MOU updates from November 13th to December 8th. Again, those key indicators of leadership in governments, curriculum alignment, human resource management, and purpose of direction has all been documented for this past month. At this time, board members, this concludes the report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Sterling.
Thank you.
We have no unfinished business. We've already covered our 3 new business items. So we'll go to number 7, business by school board members, and we have some important dates. A couple I would point out, Thursday, January the 4th is our work session, our next one, and the following week on Wednesday, the 10th, is our first budget session for next year. And our regular meeting on Thursday, July the 18th. Yeah. Anything else by board members?
Yes, I'd just like to say to the principals, Mrs. Sterling, and your administrators, you're doing a wonderful job, wonderful job. Central office staff, we want to say thank you for the holiday little reception that you were just so gracious to extend to us. So we want to say thank you. I was even encouraged and somebody was tempting me to eat the cupcake. That is the holiday. Go ahead and have a cupcake. So I had the cupcake.
And it was good.
It was good. So we want to say thank you. In the spirit of whether it's Kwanzaa to you or Hanukkah, or is it Merry Christmas, if it's season's greetings, happy holidays. We are thinking about our children that may be less fortunate.
Yes.
And so in some of the schools, we know they may have had an angel tree, may have been some kind of incentive to make sure that the children are cared for. So we want to say, if we haven't done so, to everybody to go back and look at those students who may be homeless. We've talked about that some in our work session. To also look at those children of incarcerated parents at this time. Go back and maybe look at all the students that are enrolled to make sure that we have all those bases covered. And to look at community resources for those students, to make sure that those students' names were on a list, that we could, as a community, be able to help those students. Today has been busy, and you all can say there's a lot going on in Franklin City Public Schools. Let me say that again. There's a lot of good things going on in Franklin City Public Schools. Thank you, Ms. Amy Phillips, reminded us tonight that it's been a year, that we reorganized as a board, And so there are a lot of good things going on in Franklin City Public Schools. I heard somebody came up tonight, I don't want to say who said it because I may get it off. There were several things today. Now, at the high school, I had an opportunity to shoot over there, and I've been wanting to do this, to participate with the Ascend students. I don't know if Mr. Phelps knew I was in the building. I slipped in the cafeteria. I believe there were 9 volunteers from Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, one of our partners, and there were 11 students that were present for the Ascend program today. And the facilitator, her name, I tried to take some notes, was Dr. Alexa Harris. She had also been a student in previous years. I didn't get the year. Franklin High School, I believe Franklin City Schools, don't know which schools she actually attended. But she talked to them today about their voice and learning to use their voice, how their voice matters. To help them with the creating a plan. What is it that you want to do in life? And then they had a little activity where they did interactions with the adults to help them with some of those presentation skills, just as you had your students to do, Mr. Phelps, on the night that we had the work session. It was an excellent program. So we want to thank you all. Thank you, Ms. Sterling. You've hit the ground running with your staff. Mr. Edwards, that team. Yeah, I mean, you all are doing an amazing job. Wouldn't you all agree, board members? Absolutely. There are some perks to working here in Franklin City Public Schools, and we're hearing the rumblings. And that's all I wanted to share tonight. But you all are doing an amazing job. Just to say, not to forget those kids that are those children that are, we shouldn't say kids, children that are homeless, or those children that may have incarcerated parents. And sometimes when families are homeless, we don't always know it. So we want to rely on our community partners. And I believe we are creating a list. We have a list, and I believe, Ms. Sterling, you said we're adding to the list.
Yes, we are.
Of the community partners that are able to help us. Because as our mission states, I know somebody says she's on that soapbox. Well, it's the last, I believe, general session for the year of 2017. But our mission states that we work in partnership with students, families, and the community to provide enriching opportunities to empower individual learners to maximize their potential in becoming critical thinkers, productive citizens, and lifelong learners. And we see that. We see that coming together, everybody as a team, and we want you to know that we do value you as a school board. We value you.
Thank you, Dr. Hall Leonard, and I certainly echo all of those comments. Anybody else?
I just want to add, over the last week and a half, I've had to step into JPK as a role as a parent versus as a board member. And even when you try to take that hat off, when you're in the division, you're in the division. And it's been after school, so of course they've had 21st Century and other things going on after school. It is amazing what they are doing with these kids at that school. Miss Francis, Mr. Parker, your whole team, because you guys are a team, and work extremely well as a team. Those kids are on it. They are engaged, they are participating, they are well behaved, the staff is on top of it. Ms. Freeman has been in the office every afternoon when I've gone in to play parent, and she is on top of everything. And just, you guys are to be commended on how great that school is running and how great your students are doing as well.
All right, I said I was done. I got to shout out. SP Morton. They are pushing learning the Morton way. So we're going to shout out all these schools. This is good. We need to do that because this is positive. These are the positives. They're doing an amazing job over there because we heard just this evening about the recent field trip to the Children's Museum, about all the parents. I know it was over 25 parents. On yesterday. So we want to say, parents continue the involvement. This is really good. So that would be Dr. Davis and your staff. You had an amazing math night at Food Lion, I believe. They said there were so many people and parents and students there. And we see, when you drive up to S.P. Morton, you can see the little sign that says Dairy Queen Night. You know, it's to engaging the community to let people know what's going on in the community. And Mr. Phelps, I told him at the work session, that Ms. Francis, you had stepped out. I said, now she will have to set the bar high. She and Mr. Parker. Because I'm telling you, Franklin High School, they brought it, didn't they?
They brought it.
They did.
They did.
An amazing work session. The presentation of our students, from the students greeting the board members at the
Yes.
door. Wouldn't you say, Mr. Holt?
Absolutely.
Greeted us at the door, shook our hands. Culinary Arts Program had a cupcake Christmas tree. No, it was a cupcake roof. A cupcake wreath and a fruit and vegetable Christmas tree. Oh my goodness, it was awesome.
The confidence that those students
Yes,
had was amazing.
it was. And we can just see as a board this division rising, the morale, increasing student morale, so that they're excited. And I believe they had prepared, Mr. Phelps said, for 1 month. 30 days to get it right. And I mean, they were talking to us. Ms. Jester, I think you said somebody greeted you at the door. It was amazing. So thank you. Now I think we've shouted out all the schools. Thank you.
Well, we can't do it enough. so.
That's right.
Anything else? Dr. Geiger, do you have anything?
No, just wish everybody a happy holidays and 1 year. It's come and gone. I was very impressed with the reports that the board members, each board member just about, I think, reported from their VSBA sessions. And the focus is on instruction and trying to move these kids ahead.
Yes.
And I hope everybody's going to have a safe and meaningful holiday so we can get back at it second semester.
That's right.
It's right around the corner.
Thank you. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you all.
Good night.